Yeah, I am a youth advisor at Denver Public Health, and I work with the Southwest Vida newsletter. So my role is a youth leader. I help organize the articles. The article we wrote about gun violence was written over the summer. It was in our second edition, and that article was really important because it was around the time where our community, our neighborhood, especially Westwood, was having a lot of gunshots, um, a lot of road disturbance on Federal, and that article helped inform the community what was happening, and not only that, but in English and Spanish, so that both communities were able to read it. I think there is a barrier or between youth violence and language, because if um, families, most families that I know speak both Spanish and English, but some only speak Spanish. So those things in the news that are happening sometimes come out just in English, and there's no connection being made. Um, so resources in Spanish or any other language that people might speak is really good in order to help reduce youth violence and for the families to understand what's happening as well. I live around 3 blocks from Federal, which is where the intersection of Federal and Alameda is. And I actually was able to see firsthand a shooting. I was driving on that road when all of a sudden I heard gunshots, and my cousin was driving. So we rapidly left because I wouldn't want to be in that situation. And later on Facebook, I was seeing posts about there was a dead body, and it was it wasn't something that I would have wanted to see. I have been more nervous, and I am more cautious of my surrounding every day, especially when I'm in my own neighborhood and in my own home. Yeah, so just adding on to what Sayuri was saying about the shootings in Federal, like I said, I live a couple houses from Sayuri. We live in the same neighborhood, so I know exactly what Sayuri is talking about. Because of that shooting that I experienced, I have been more nervous, and I am more cautious of my surrounding every day. Yeah, I was especially thinking knowing that my home should be a safe place. It's actually not inside of my home it is, but outside of those four walls, who knows what could happen in the next day or Sayuri talked about that video where it was getting around everywhere, all Facebook and social media. A lot of people were sharing how there was a dead body on Federal and Alameda. The frequency of hearing gunshots is a couple nights a week. Yeah, I would say in the weekends, sometimes at night. Yeah. I do feel scared. I've been more just aware of my surroundings when I leave my house. It's been, it is kind of more anxiety for me when I'm just looking around, and even going to the store. Sometimes it's kind of scary for me. And I used to go out on walks more. I feel like I am more scared to even walk my dog outside of my, even on my sidewalk. I love living here, but at the same time, I wish things could improve and there less gun violence, especially. National Youth Violence Prevention Week should highlight the gun activity that is happening in the Southwest neighborhood. I think out of Colorado mainly, especially since we live really close to Denver, a lot of problems are happening with guns, and there should be more activities or ways in which youth can be involved. Definitely highlight the stories of the youth that have been affected, and that just have personally been through something like that. And we also feel that the community has grown so much accustomed to it that whenever they hear gunshots, they're oh, another gunshot. Um, they don't feel the need to call it in. An anonymous call to 911 about a gunshot in your neighborhood is going to help save somebody's life.
TV trade. Thank you very much. Welcome back to the Mending Roots to Cultivate Communities Telethon. I am Oren Lamena, and I am joined in studio now by DPD District 4 Commander Mark Fleece and Pearl Lopez, Westwood Community-Based Crime Reduction Manager. Thank you guys for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
You know, I want to start with you, Commander Fleece, just with something that I told you in the break. And we'll get to the community-based crime reduction grant shortly. As a young black man, and with the climate, current climate that is we're experiencing, there's always been a disconnect between people from my community, black and brown communities, and the police. The efforts to bridge that gap, I know, have been coming from both sides. What is it like to be a law enforcement official in this climate where there is so much tension between the two?
It's a good question. You know, it's been a difficult year. I mean, if you look at you know, the events of 2020 and you know, everything that's happened, you know, in that year and since then, it's been a difficult profession to be in.
Yeah.
But you know, at the same time, it's, you know, there's so many things about this profession and what we do that are, you know, are rewarding. I mean, especially if you look at the community outreach part of it, and you know, there's so much more that we do as police officers than, you know, than just go and a big part of our job is responding to calls for service every day, obviously. But there's, you know, there's a lot of community outreach, a lot of community involvement that we do as part of our job, you know, that officers are involved in every single day. So there's been a lot of bad over the past year, but there's still a lot of good in this profession.
Absolutely, and I was detailing to you how, you know, I have three, you know, people I went to high school with, people I consider friends, that are all Denver police officers, and it put a different perspective on my view of police once you have friends that occupy the position. You know, and I have a cousin who was actually a New York City cop. And you know, that stigma of, you know, F the police has to fall back when you understand that, okay, I know people that are police, right? And to get to where we're trying to go in terms of preventing youth violence or stemming the tide of youth violence has a lot to do with working with law enforcement and building a coalition that's able to reach from both an administrative side, and then, which is still community, and then, you know, a people side, which is community. Pearl, we were talking also about, you know, the Westwood district, or the Westwood area, and how underrepresented the issues in your community are, maybe on a broader scale from a news perspective. And let's talk about that community and the violence that has been suffered by the occupants there.
Yeah, so Westwood is a beautiful neighborhood, very culturally diverse. It's about 80% Hispanic. Mm-hmm. But the culture, there's an art district, there's a lot of rich heritage there. But the violence is very prevalent. You walk into the Westwood neighborhood and you're 170% more likely to be victim of a violent crime as compared to the neighboring communities or neighborhoods in Southwest Denver. So, and we'll talk a little bit about the grant, the community-based crime reduction grant that we're working on. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of community engagement happening. We have youth engagement. And so District 4 Police Department does a really good job of cultivating partnerships. Mm-hmm. We have a partnership with subrecipients for the grant of about 10 agencies, but we have partnerships with over 20. And so there's a lot of work that's happening at the grassroots level. But you're right, we do get overlooked, I think, in that area quite a bit. It's kind of off, you know, downtown, and we're kind of off to the side. And so sometimes it just doesn't get some of the resources
Yeah.
maybe that other areas receive and some of the attention. So that's starting to change. Us being here, I think, is a step in the right direction. So really, thank you for welcoming us and,
No,
and
thank you
having
guys
us
for
here
being
today.
here. And as you can see, with this graph and Commander Fleece, it's, your day-to-day jobs to look at things of this nature, and the uptick of violence in our communities over the course of the last, 2 years has been pretty pronounced. Where do you start? As obviously, jailing bad guys is kind of the easy. Let me say it's the easy part of it. You find a guy did something, or a gal, you lock them up. But stemming the tide and meeting that threat before it metastasizes and becomes the violence that we see playing out in our streets. What is that task for you like?
It's a big task. I think that, crime prevention and trying to, do everything you can, as much as you can, to try to, prevent crime before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's something that we need to be focused on. I mean, obviously, like I said before, our calls for service, the citizens that that need help in the moment, every single day. That's our primary mission. But there's so much more, I think, that we can do, that we are doing, with trying to, to recognize, what those root causes are,
Mm-hmm.
of crime in particular neighborhoods. I think that it's a large discussion. It
Yeah.
really is, and I think that we started looking, and this is just part of what we're trying to do. I think from a law enforcement perspective, about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we started looking at different neighborhoods in Southwest Denver particularly,
Okay.
and looking at what we called social determinants, social correlates of crime.
Mm-hmm.
Really a long-term crime prevention program that we started looking at data within different neighborhoods, and the data had nothing to do with the crime going on in any particular area.
Okay.
But we started looking at the access to health care. We started looking at
My God.
disparities with poverty and income levels, and mental health, and substance abuse, and even environmental factors that may be present within a particular neighborhood that may be leading or contributing to an increase in crime.
Access to healthy open spaces.
Absolutely, yeah. Parks and recreation and all those types of things. And it was interesting because when we pulled that data, and the primary sources of the data came from the Colorado Department of Health, also the Census Bureau,
Okay.
among other areas that we pulled that data from. But if you look at those areas, and we constructed what's called the temporal map. So red is bad, green is good.
Okay.
Really highlights those areas that are most distressed with those things that I just mentioned. And if you overlay that with the crime that's going on in that neighborhood, there's a direct correlation.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's spot on. It's precise. And so that's one of the things that we've been focusing on. We've, like Pearl said, developed a lot of different partnerships, because that's not something that the police department can readily affect, on our own. Certainly we can, I think we can facilitate, that type of thing, but there's partnerships that we've created. There's a lot of, there are so many resources that are available throughout the city, especially, and so many things that we can identify to help individuals, help families. And and when we were first presented with this idea, and Chief Pazen came to us about a year and a half ago and wanted us to look at this, and my first impression was, well, how can we as a police department impact these things to, how can we impact poverty levels, and how can we impact opportunity and mental health and all those types of things? But we our police officers are in the neighborhoods every single day.
Yeah.
You know, they're in households where, you know, something is going on, something, you know, is stressing out, you know, those households and the families, and those are things that our officers, you know, have a firsthand observation of. So if they can see something, you know, within that household that maybe they might benefit, you know, from, you know, a variety of resources. I mean, it could be, you know, parenting, it could be, you know, financial issues that, you know, problems making the rent. I mean, there's so many issues that, you know, really bubble to the surface to, you know, to get to the point where the police are actually being called to their home. And so those things we built up a, you know, pretty large coalition, you know, of service providers that we can actually refer, you know, those families and individuals out to. And we've been doing a lot of that over the course of the last 8 to 10 months.
And Pearl, for you, you know, National Youth Violence Prevention Week, and, you know, you have the police, you have the parents, but you have the kids, you have the youth that this is their world to inherit. You know,
Yeah.
We're passing it off to them in a certain condition, and they're going to have to do with it what they will. What do you have in your hand there? Because that's a newsletter that the youth in your community have put together, and they're putting the pen to the paper, which is, forgive me if I say so, it's kind of not surprising to me, but it's just kind of a lost art and not something that I would expect. So let's talk about that in these last moments that I have with you.
Yeah, so in partnership with Denver Public Health, we got a youth leadership team together, and so asked them what they wanted to do, and they wanted a voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about different avenues of that, and so what they came across was a newsletter, something that fit the community. Westwood is a very traditional community, and so they're not tech savvy. And so having something that they can tangibly hold in their hands, read, this is in English and Spanish. It talks about issues that our youth are want to speak about. And so gun violence is at the top. You know, like you heard before, Sayeri, one of our youth leaders, talk about hearing shots a few times a week. And so, and being alarmed by that. Of course she would be alarmed by that.
Sure.
So wanting a voice to speak about it, to bring awareness about it, and what can we do? She's showing the adults, they're showing the adults, like, this is happening in our neighborhood. And so what can we do to curb that, to change that? So had a group of youth today at a local middle school, and of 10 youth, every single one of them raised their hand that they had lost somebody recently
Wow.
to gun violence, or they were talking about their family members. And so, you know, really looking at a school in a community like Westwood compared to, you know, other more just higher economic areas,
Sure.
the discussions are different. And so just bringing awareness is really what they want to do.
I love that. And, you know, as a writer, I'm just like, to see, you know, you putting pen to pad is just, it's a lost art. Because, you know, we got social media. I mean, it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to the youth in your neighborhood for doing that. And thank you, Commander, for, you know, being the exception, you know, to, I think, what might be a cliche, but a rule, which is us pitted against the police as opposed to working with local law enforcement. It's really dope to see. So thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you
Most
so
definitely.
much.
We've reached 80%. That's what I have. I have a bird in my ear. We're 80% of the way there. We're 80% of the way to the 50 bands. You got your stimmy. I'm still going to tell you, gimme until the last minute has ticked off the clock. We are so appreciative of everyone that has contributed and donated their voice and their time. And I do believe that we have a caller that we can go to. Oh, okay. We're going to go where? You guys are watching TV unfold right in front of your eyes. We'll go to the Last Supper and have some music, and then we'll come back with a caller, and then we'll wrap this thing up as we roar towards 50 bands. Thank you guys again for being here.
Teddy, Trey Usher. Last summer, let's get it.
It's my time to shine, I waited way too long. I had a couple people try to stop my grind, but they ain't know this ambition that I got, I mean, it's guaranteed to blow. I lost my granny, man, and that stuff still hit home. These inner demons killing me, so-called friends envy me. They hate the fact I'm winning, to be honest, it's the God in me. I never needed friends, I always keep it distance. They pray up on my downfall, they can relate to what I'm spitting. I don't understand, but it's all a part of God's plan. I've been through hell and back, but I'ma make it to the end. They ask me how I feel, I don't know, honestly. I just keep it silent, but a lot of things bother me. Lost a couple soldiers to the streets and it's taunting me. Really can't believe it, but I know they watching over me. I never question God's plan, this is what it's supposed to be. Never needed sympathy, y'all can keep our empathy.
I done felt the pain, I done lived it for some years. Mama always told me, baby, get up out of here. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. Lost my day, went to the streets and it still hurts still. Gotta grind hard, man, it's my golden year. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on.
Grinding don't stop, even when I hit the top. We going up from here, this is all year. Tryna be great, I know they gon' hate, but when I eat, we all get a plate. Love thy neighbor, love thyself. Young people, focus on your wealth. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. I vowed to fight despite what you look like. So listen up, your smile's made of gold. I love you if you haven't been told. I know it gets real cold when you alone, but where you stand, that's your throne. I lost my brother to a gun, so you know I ain't done. Run the game, that's the end goal. We coming up, this a signal. We ballin' out. Where's Kendall? Nationwide hero. Yes, sir.
I done felt the pain, I done lived it for some years. Mama always told me, baby, get up out of here. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. Lost my day, went to the streets and it still hurts still. Gotta grind hard, man, it's my golden year. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. Put my city on, yeah, put my city on. They're so proud of me. They're so proud of me. So proud of me. So proud of me. They're so proud of me. They're so proud of me. They're so proud of me. I put my city on the map to see the finer things. Yeah, I know they're proud of me. I put my city on the map to see the finer things. Yeah, I know they're proud of me. I put my city on the map to see the finer things. Yeah, I know they're proud of me. I put my city on the map to see the finer things. Yeah, I know they're proud of me.
Mending Roots to Cultivate Communities, Telethon. I am Orrin Lamenta, DJ K-Tone's in the building, yay. And right now we're gonna go to the phones and speak with Angela Lee.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm doing well. All things considered, it's been a good day for healing and also a painful day in knowing how this subject has touched the lives of so many people, one of which you are. Tell us about your son that you lost to youth gun violence.
My son was Galen. Everybody called him Gator, but his name was Galen Jamel Armstrong, but his nickname was Gator. He died 2016 in July. He was downtown at the Mozzie concert when it was over 200 rounds, so he was the one that got killed.
Oh, my goodness. My condolences
Thank you.
for your loss. You know, in the wake of something like that, what do you do? What have you done? How have you coped with a loss and tried to turn it into something more, I would imagine, as that you've done?
So with me, I surrounded myself with people that's been through it. I think that's what you have to do. I mean, because, you know, people tell you, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. But if you haven't really been through it, you don't know. And the only thing you can do is take 1 second at a time. That's all you can do. And then I started for a while, me and Doretta Tootle, we had started doing little stuff in the community as well. So that's what I did for me. But, I mean, I didn't know at the time. It does get easier to cope. It don't get no better. You just learn how to deal with it.
It's and you said something very poignant, which is you'll have a lot of thoughts and prayers, right, when you experience tragedy,
Yes.
but
Exactly.
who can relate?
Right.
And that part, will forever separate you in certain to a certain extent, and bond you to other people who can relate. But it also puts you in a position where you can be a thought leader, or
Right.
at least because you have, unfortunately, experience in this area.
Yes.
What is your message to, as we've been watching the uptick of violent crime amongst our youth in Denver, what is your message to young people today when it comes to this subject?
My message is just put the guns down. Enough is enough. Because not only, Brother Jeff has this saying that no winners. There's no winners on either side, of it. So just put the guns down. That's all I can say. But then you think, and you stop. When this happened to you, you be like, what can I do? How can we get it to stop? But I'm just be honest with you. Unfortunately, it's not going to stop. I'm just being honest. But we are out here trying to do something to make it stop, but it won't stop. So.
No, you keeping it a buck, and I wonder that myself. When the toothpaste is proverbially out of the tube, so to speak, and
Right.
the guns are on the streets, and a lot of these young people don't see the value. I shouldn't just say young people. A lot of people don't see the value in being able to settle your differences, either catch the fade, or choose to be the bigger person and walk away.
Absolutely.
And so when you say it's not going to stop, I know a lot of people might say that sounds very pessimistic, but it's just realistic from your point of view.
It's real. It's not.
How best then, with that being the lens that you're seeing this through, how best do we coalesce as a community and deal with a problem that is probably going to be with us for a while? Just in your opinion, before I let you go.
I was listening to Grass, and they said it better. You just got to meet these youth where they at. That's all you can do. That's the only thing that I think. You just got to meet them where they're at.
I mean, well said, and something that I think we all, a sentiment that we all share, and in hopes for better days. Angela, I'm so appreciative of your time, and thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You do the same.
Thank you.
I mean, as we, Toner?
Yeah. Rest in peace, Gazer, too. I remember that. That night. Crazy.
This is all, it's almost like a Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
We're hearing the stories, and we're hearing, the effects, and they all come from the same space.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Senseless.
Definitely.
And what the hell is going on?
Which is ultimately, again, why we're here.
Yeah.
This is why this is so important.
Yeah.
And why it's so important for us to have this, man, and raise funds to stop the violence.
Do you feel like, Angela? Do you feel like it ain't gonna stop? Do you feel like we could stop it?
That's a hard question, man. I mean, I feel her. But I also have hopes that it can one day. Maybe we don't see it in our lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll say that. Maybe not necessarily our lifetime, but we're gonna push for it.
We've reached 100% of our goal, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. So there's that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got there.
We are 100% at our goal.
Okay.
And we got music stylings from Tony Exum coming up next. I just real quick wanna hit to you, Tony. As a leader in the community, it's dope to have you, here with, and you do it.
Definitely.
You do it through example. I know it. You know what I
Definitely.
mean? You 10 toes
Definitely.
and in the community for people to see and touch and feel. And so,
Appreciate
it does definitely give me hope. And that 50 bands
Yeah.
will be one step closer to
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean?
Definitely one step closer. And like I said, man, I'm just doing my due diligence. I honestly, and I teach this to my kids too, man. If you're not giving back, if you have, the community, my city giving me so much, it's my duty to do things like this.
For sure.
You know
For
what
sure.
I mean? It's what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And when you know what I mean, and when the bell rings,
yeah,
that's when we know. You know what I mean? Talk is cheap.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? When the bell rings, who shows up and does what they're supposed to do?
We got to do it.
That's my guy right there.
Come on, man.
Where we at, Sil? Are we going to Tony? We are joined in studio by a man who's a legend in his own right, Tony X.
That's legendary.
Hey, now, how you doing, brother? I'm doing good, man. Good, man. It's good to have you here. And
is his mic on?
Is his mic on?
We can't hear him.
Can't hear him.
1, 2. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
All right.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you, man.
And I know that we're gonna be blessed by what you do. But last time I saw you, it was the same. So you know what I mean. Cool. I feel comfortable saying Tony X, take it away.
Cool. It's all good. Let's go. Thank you. A little something called T.E. Heartbreak. It's from my first album.
That was I was going through a breakup, obviously. So wrote a song about it, you know. Seems to be kind of a thing that us entertainers go through a lot, so thought I'd bring that song back. I haven't played that one in a while, so one of my favorites. I think up next is I put this song out exactly a year ago. Collaborated with a cat from Dallas, great sax player named Vandale Andrew, and we call this one "Don't Run from Love." Thank you. That's yes, indeed. Don't Run from Love. It's a beautiful song written and produced by my man, Vandale Andrew. And that's out there. So, and all this music is available on wherever digital music is sold. But forget all that. Thank you guys for having me. You know, and being a part of something so important and something that's dear to my heart and something I want to see change. And I think this is incredible work that you guys are doing today. So it's really my honor just to be here and play a couple of songs. If I could do more, I would. So.
Say, music soothes the savage beast. And there was when Menesport was playing Human Nature, there was something I was going to say to you, K-Tone, which was like, you know, we started this conversation earlier on, and we were talking about what part does hip hop play in. You know, I really feel like if we can get music, not, and I love producers. Don't get it twisted. You know Mike Coates, that's my man, 50 grand.
Oh yeah.
You know, but instruments, you know, music back in the hands of young people. I don't know why I feel like that would just be so curative. It was amazing to me. First of all, it was an oddity to watch a young man playing the guitar like he was, you know what I mean, watching the Menesport group. And then just reminded about, you know, just what you're able to pull out of that instrument. You know what I mean? It's just, there's just something to it. I'm not saying it's the end all. I'm not saying that that's how you fix youth gun violence. But what I am saying is that could be a piece of the puzzle.
I think it is, because if you remember correctly, you know, back in the 70s, that's hip-hop was created to stop all of that.
Right.
The whole purpose of the hip-hop, you know, phenomenon isn't just rap music. You know, if you know hip-hop, there's 4 elements.
Right.
You know, it's graffiti, DJing, rap, and breakdancing. So everybody was involved in at least one of those 4. And so the battles was basically based on your creativity.
Right.
You know, and to get your mind off of violence. So people got to remember that the pillars of hip-hop didn't want all this.
Right.
You know, so I think if we did do that, it would give that outlet, you know, because that's what it did for me. You know, and a sense of accomplishment and, you know, just a way to try something that, you know, might be, you know, difficult at first. It takes a lot of discipline to do this, but I just feel like if we had music in schools and if we got the instruments back to these kids, there'd be such a big difference. Because there's an intellectual stimulation that goes on when you're learning to play something.
Straight up and down.
You know, and we never hear about that a whole lot. And I try to do my part to encourage youngsters to, you know, to play. But
pick up an instrument.
You know, pick up an instrument and try it out. You know, and the ones that do, there's so much freedom in what they and who they become, and they start using their minds a little bit differently, and it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing process to see. So, you know, I think that can be definitely a part of what can, you know, ultimately just put maybe not an end to it like you said, but put a big, you know, flatten that curve of what we're seeing across the country, you know, with all this violence and stuff, and get kids' minds on something else.
I mean, I just honestly, Toner, is like full circle.
Yeah.
The arts, you know, mainly because to get proficient, you got to spend time. And the more time you spend doing that, the less time you got to be doing the rest of them. You know what I mean? Of the things that we see plaguing our young people. If you were, your final thoughts as we get ready to get out of here, K-Tone, on the subject. You know, the happening, we reached our goal. Remember, you guys can still donate. It's not over. Go to mendingroutsforest.com/donate. You can donate. Your final thoughts.
I don't think it's over. I think this is the start, and I think what we're talking about right now, like I got so many things going through my head right now. Like, you know what I mean? We know the Tonys, we know the Rob T's who does drums. We know these people. Let's create a program.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm with that. We know we have turntablists.
Right.
I'm down to help create a program. You know that. Let's drop the guns, man. Pick up an instrument.
Yeah,
that's important.
It's either that or gloves. You know, you put on some boxing gloves.
And shout out to Lamumba Sayers, because you know they do that. You know, he has that, man. Drop them guns and get in this boxing ring, and I commend him for that. You know, so I know he does his part with that, but we just need
alternatives.
You know, we need more. We need alternatives.
Their time, for a way for people to spend their time productively. I'm a huge proponent of, you know, you don't want to take the aggression out of our youth. It can be used to their betterment.
Right.
It's where it's directed.
Definitely.
It's what they use it for. And whether that can be channeled through creativity, whether it can be channeled through physical, you know, I mean, basketball, football, baseball, sure. But, you know, if we can find different alternatives, because the truth of the matter is that all of these happenings seem to be, it's not a cry for attention. Yeah. It's a cry for something to do with their time.
Right.
you know, and I don't care what socioeconomic strata you come from. We all make decisions in a moment.
Oh, yeah.
We all make decisions sentiently in a moment.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And yes, your mental and emotional home stress plays into those decisions. But
Right.
in that moment,
Right.
you're choosing to do something with your time. And what would that something be if you had already been, you know, used to doing something else and having that outlet, having that creative outlet, or having that physical outlet.
Definitely.
I'm being asked, and I wouldn't normally do this, Tone, but I'm being asked if you got one more.
I got one more.
Oh, look, asking you shall receive, knocking it would be open unto you. We asked for $50,000, we got $50,000.
Come on.
I asked for Tony to play one more, he's got one more.
Come on.
Let's do
Only
it.
do it, you know. All right, this is a little something called My Name's Tony.
Okay? All right? All right? I got Sylvia in my ear telling me clap again, Tony. So this was from Sylvia to you.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, got you. Tell her what to do. Hey, listen, all jokes aside, for such a great cause, Tony, thank you. Toner, thank you. It's our time that matters most, you know what I mean? Because with that time, then you do things that make a difference. We reached our goal of 50 bands. Yeah. Thank you to all you who donated. It's great to see people put their action to work and not have it just be another post, not have it just be thoughts and prayers, have it be money given to help a great cause. So on May 1st, we will be putting 200 trees in the ground at Park Hill Golf Course. So give it up for that, because that's going to be tight.
Definitely.
That's going to be tight. Thank you to the crew, Sylvia, David, John, the crew here in the studio with us, DJ K-Tone, Tony Exum, Drew, who? I got people. Thank you to Drew. Thank you to you, most importantly, for being here with us, for donating your time, and make sure you go to mendingrootsforest.com for more information on how you can be involved with such a great cause. The Mending Roots to Cultivate Communities Telethon is over, and I'm gonna go get me something to eat. I am Oren Lamena, and y'all be safe and stay in them streets doing good things for everybody around you. Amen? Yeah!
All right. Yeah. Yeah.